For sure. If we go back all the way to, 2016, 2017, and we were trying to think of like when we started taking intellectual property law seriously and we started talking to an IP lawyer, I think it kind of goes back to when you first released Hollow It's Me and Hollowsexual merch. So like t-shirts with like the holographic foil on them. We very quickly noticed that counterfeit versions of that merch were showing up online, right? And this is an experience a lot of YouTubers have. And it's not just that it's the same word, it's that it's like they literally just pulled the exact same artwork. They clearly ripped off both what we are arguing is your trademark phrase, but also the artwork of the t-shirt itself.
And I was selling t-shirts and hoodies, I think, at that time that said Hollow It's Me and Hollowsexual with the little stars, and they basically just replicated the exact same thing.
And we even met people in real life at things like VidCon who had clearly mistakenly bought the knockoff stuff, and it looked terrible.
You know how I knew it was the knockoff?
It was fake Hollow,
it was
right?
fake Hollow.
Wasn't it? They had a picture of Hollow, but like they would just print it on the shirt instead of using the foil that's actually expensive and
Disgusting.
Looks holographic, right?
See, lies. It's all lies.
So I remember at first we tried going through a process with Amazon to get them taken down, right? And we did a bunch of homework and detective work, and we figured out it was almost all the listings traced back to this one individual vendor who we tracked down based off, they had registered a website through another platform that was in Vietnam. And we kind of realized very quickly, without even talking to a lawyer at this point, that there's not a whole lot you can do about that, frankly. Policing your trademarks and your works getting ripped off by some bootlegger somewhere in Asia, like, good luck. The much more viable path to addressing this for us was to get Amazon's attention as, a legitimate business that doesn't want to be hosting a bunch of counterfeit products on their store. And when we tried to reaching out to them individually, we weren't very successful.
I didn't get a response.
I don't think we even got a response, or it wasn't very clear, but we then got an IP lawyer who specifically deals with these matters. And when he drafted a letter with a fancy letterhead and everything and sent it to them, that's when we got a response from Amazon.
Yes. So, but it wasn't just the lawyer. I think it was also the fact that we'd already filed to trademark, right, some of the sayings. So Hollowsexual and Hollow It's Me. Yeah. I believe at that time, I think we'd already initiated the filings. So I don't know this for a fact, but I assume that Amazon's offices, when they got the letter from our lawyer, and our lawyer was pointing to that filing in the US, it was Amazon.com hosting these, they were like, okay, you're pointing to some real legal things that we have to agree, and we are going to remove the listings. That's what I suspect made them take it down.
Yeah, and on some of these other websites where you can just, without a lawyer, make a claim to have things taken down, they'll maybe ask you to show something proving your ownership of that design or that mark. And if you have a registration, that is the easy answer to very clearly demonstrate that you own the rights to that thing and they should take it down. And most reputable websites should have a claims process by which they would take it down.
So I've done that on Facebook a long time ago. There was someone selling some Hollow It's Me something. Okay. And since we had filed registration I could point to, I just myself, not my lawyer, did the claims process, attached the link for the trademark filing, and then they took it down.
Yeah. So I think these early days, you're right. We already had started registering to get like Hollow It's Me, Hollowsexual. I think Hollow Queen was another early one.
And Simply Nailogical.
And the trade name itself, yeah. And I think the thinking there is we were already playing around with some design ideas for merch. And there was maybe like the hint of an idea that there could be a nail polish line or a nail polish collab in the future where you would want to very clearly claim your ownership of the terms that you had invented specifically in relation to nail polish.
Or the terms that I was just using so often that were so associated with my brand.
Yeah.
Like, fun fact, we started the trademark for Hollow Taco in 2016. Long before I knew I was going to have a nail polish brand named Hollow Taco. So we were lucky, I guess, in doing all of that trademark kind of pre-work, because it takes years for it to go through and be approved and be opposed and be approved and all these things, right? So we were lucky that like most of that process was done by the time we actually launched Hollow Taco.
Yeah. So I guess the Amazon example is just like the first sort of wake up call that this really mattered. Until that
Yeah.
point, we had just sort of done it because it kind of seemed like a good idea to do. We were kind of future proofing. We're pretty conservative people, as in we want to be safe and protect you. And we had other friends in the industry who had gone through issues with people. So I think we just sort of knew to do this to some degree.
I think, yes, with what happened with Amazon, the fact that we could point to the registration, had we not had that registration, we would have not had a good case, even though I know like all my fans and everyone would argue, well, it's so clearly you're saying, you say Hollow, it's me in every video, it's all over your merch, it's in your bio, you Google that, you're the first thing that comes up. How could someone possibly, how could Amazon disagree? Well, Amazon isn't a court, and they're not in the business of deciding, yeah, you deserve that saying, and they're not just going to take down listings on their website because of that. They only did it, I think, is because we were able to point to a legal registered filing. And I think that moment, even though I hated how incredibly expensive it was just at that point, and that was years ago to get to that point, it made us realize that, you know what, I do think that it is important to invest in this for other future marks that we think we want to protect, just because we don't want companies to abuse them, to use my likeness basically, and to use you guys.
Yeah, okay, really good. And the good point you made in there too is that technically you don't really need a trademark to make a legal argument that someone is using your intellectual property, right?
Right.
But it just makes it so much easier to make the case to people to be able to appeal to something formal like that.
It's just like very clear evidence that's indisputable.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have that, like maybe they would side in our favor, but I don't know. So it's hard to say whether it's worth it. Maybe we'll come back to that at the end. But we were very proactive. I would say on average, we were more proactive than the average YouTuber. That very early in my YouTube career, we were spending thousands of dollars already on trademarking stuff.